Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the name your price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The name your price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Christopher Media, let's make some noise. Welcome to Beer Nuts, a weekly excursion into the world of craft beer. Brought to you by MichiganBeerGuide.com. And now, here are the Beer Nuts.
Hey, welcome to Beer Nuts. We're back, and we're going to talk cider this week. So, cider nuts for 1 week. No, it's still Beer Nuts. So, happy to have four of us here. I'll kick things off. JR here in Tucson, Arizona. And the last Untapped beer I checked in was at the National Beer Wholesalers Convention in Las Vegas, Nevada, a couple days ago. And I was happy to enjoy a Sapporo Premium Black Schwartz beer from Sapporo, Japanese beer company. And it was a very good, malty, nice tasting beer. I thoroughly enjoyed. Now we're going to get over to L.A. to Steve V. Welcome back, Steve.
Hello, everybody. I'm sure Chris Z enjoyed that plug for Sapporo.
Oh, absolutely.
Shout out to Chris Z. Yes. My last check-in was from Tappet Brewing Company, Redneck Water. It was a Belgium style, very crisp and clean, very nice little beer.
Awesome. All right, let's go to Dearborn, Michigan to Greg.
Hey guys, good to be back again. Greg here in Dearborn, Michigan. My last Untapped check-in was Don't Harsh My Mellow from Oddside Ales. It was a 10% Imperial Stout brewed with smoked malt, chocolate, and vanilla, then aged in bourbon barrels. Quite delicious.
That sounds good.
I almost picked that up today, but it scared me because of the last Oddside beer I had. I won't go into that right now. But something about a mule. It was disgusting. But this is Doug Out. I'm in Clawson, Michigan. And my last check-in was Brew Free or Die IPA by 21st Amendment Brewery, which just happened to start distribution here in Michigan. Woohoo! Woo!
Alrighty,
good stuff. They make great stuff.
Yeah, they do.
That one was exceptional.
Well, speaking of good stuff, we'd like to invite all our listeners to please crack open a cold one, whether it's a beer, a cider, or whatever you enjoy drinking, whether it's a Coors Light or a Blanche de Chambly from Unibrew. There's always room for our beer table for you. So unless you're driving, open up a cold beverage and kick back, and we're just going to do what we do. Our motto of the show is always to introduce more good people to more good beer, and in this case tonight, cider. So it is the fall season, a good, perfect time to be, weather starts to cool off, and we've done harvest ales a few times. I think we've done one other cider episode, but we thought, it's fall time. This is perfect time for ciders. And it used to be cider was just a real simple apple thing, but now there's all kinds of different great cider flavors out there available. So without further ado, let's get the ball rolling, and we're going to start from west to east. We're going to go to Los Angeles to Steve V for the first cider of the show. So take it away, Steve.
Okay, my selection today is from the Infinite Monkey Theorem. It's a winery out of Colorado, and they also from Denver, and then they're also out of Austin. And basically, they do all the ciders and different flavors and a couple of meads. I saw a couple of meads on their list of stuff. But the one I'm doing is the dry hopped pear cider. And the only reason why I chose this is because we had a monkey on it. And that was the selling point for me. But I open it up, and I must say it has a very different smell. It's kind of like a cross between, do you guys remember back in the day when you used to have those in school where they used to make those carbon copies and they used to roll it and it had that alcohol and it just transferred all the paper?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
everyone used to get their papers for a test and they smell it for a while. Mm-hmm. That's kind of, it's got a hint of that and rubber. Like I said, very interesting first hint of it.
Interesting smell analogy.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it brings back memories. The taste to it's kind of bland. Not really getting a lot of pear out of it. It's got a little tartness to it. It pours like a watered down Gatorade, I would say. Very, very light yellow. Yeah, not much stuff jumping out of this drink here. Yeah, I was hoping, I'm more of a pear person myself than an apple person, so I was kind of excited to try the pear part of it. But yeah, I really can't say it's like, oh my god, go out and try this. It's fabulous. It's liquid. I can say that.
Liquid is good.
Well, some of these, some of the European pear ciders, that the pear is subtle in them. Apparently, that's not much, a very subtle pear influence in yours. I've got a pear cider I'm going to review later in the show as my second choice, and hopefully that will have more pear. I also am a big fan of pear ciders. When I used to be in the beer business in Las Vegas for Heineken, having to drink your own product all the time, sometimes you get beered out. You just didn't want to drink beer anymore. You needed a change. And I would always go to a local bar called the Sierra Gold, and they always had Wider's pear cider on tap there. And I'd get a big glass of that, and it would be so refreshing to have something a little different than a beer now and then. So it sounds like that one, maybe you're looking for a little bit more flavor.
Yeah. And just a little additional info on it. It's a 5.6%, and they come in really, really tiny cans. So I guess that's a plus too. So you're not really have to drink the whole thing like a full.
Well,
but
try to be nice.
Yeah, no, they're companies named after that deal where you put a monkey on a typewriter and eventually it'll type out some works of art and Shakespeare kind of thing, and yeah, it didn't happen here. So, but
alrighty,
like I said, so you try them.
Well, I am going to try a pear one, and I'm tempted almost to follow this up and hoping that this one will be better. But I'm going to go ahead and stick with my original plan and go with the pear last because I'm real excited about this one. I'm going to try, and it's from Blake's Hard Cider Company. And even though we're moving over to Arizona here, I was in Vegas at the National Beer Wholesalers Convention and ran into an old friend that used to work for Founders, Scott Roberts. So it was great to catch up with him from my days in Michigan where I met him. And he happened to be in Las Vegas when I was in Las Vegas. So when I told him we were doing a cider episode, he was more than happy to give me some samples. So thank you for that, Scott. And I'm going to go with his recommendation here. I have to admit I did taste this and really enjoyed it at the show. It's called Traffic Jam. It's their latest year-round offerings cider. It's made with strawberry, blackberry, and raspberry, hence the word traffic jam, like jelly. So 3 different berries. It says jam-packed, berry refreshing cider with a story. Go to blakesheartedcider.com. So we'll have to research that. And it even has the nutrition information for better or for worse. 200 calories, 19 grams of carbs, and 14 grams of sugar. More importantly, made with 100% Michigan apples, strawberry, blackberry, raspberry, all natural and gluten-free. So it's 6.5% alcohol. Let's crack this open. Comes in a nice 12-ounce can. Really cool little looking label with cartoons of the different berries featured. But let's get down to business and taste it. So I'm pouring it. It's a nice pink. It looks kind of like a reddish pink, like a strawberry color. Strawberry, raspberry. So it looks the part of a berry. Nice effervescent bubbles in this that I wouldn't expect there to be a head. This isn't a beer, but nice clear with lots of real bubbly and well carbonated. So definitely a lot of fruit on the nose. That berry fruit just jumps out at you. So I'm going to taste this. Just delicious fruit flavors just burst out to you. Steve, I wish I could share this with you because after that last one, this one's bursting with fruit flavor. And actually, I'm going to read from their website a quick blurb. Inspired by the juicy berries we grow on our farm each summer, Traffic Jam is the perfect balance of ripe sweetness with bold fruit aromatics. Bursting with strawberries, blackberries, and raspberries, this semi-sweet captivates the nuance of our farm in each and every taste. So this is now available year-round. I think it wasn't prior to this year, but it's become a big hit. I'm not going to take the time to look up the story. I asked him at the show, was it perhaps any connection to the Traffic Jam and Snug, a popular Detroit? I guess they used to brew there, right? I don't know if they still do or not.
I think they do. Yeah,
they still do. They come in and out with things, and I recently saw a packaged product from them for the first time ever. I've never seen anything in a package from them before. I don't remember where or when. I was busy at the time, so I just kind of walked away, and I haven't seen it since.
And John, to answer your question, I don't think it was named in honor because I think I saw an article about Traffic Jam and Snug was looking to do a cease and desist on the name.
I see.
So I just remember seeing that. I don't know how far it's gotten into it or not. So,
well, that's unfortunate to hear, but I can tell you, whatever they call it, it's fantastic. Pick it up if you see it. Mm-hmm. I was really happy to see that Blake's is now in distribution in Nevada. I haven't seen it here in Arizona yet, but I'm sure Scott Roberts would love to have that happen. And again, I really want to thank Scott. When I was teaching in the brewing program at Schoolcraft College in Livonia, Michigan, he came and spoke to my class about beer careers, and another different time, we actually ran a promotion at a local bar out in Plymouth, Michigan. So he was a good ally to the program that I was involved in, and a good friend. So always glad to see him, and I'm glad that he hooked me up with the good stuff. So that's a winner chicken dinner here for Traffic Jam from Blake's Hard Cider. So later in the show, I will be tasting their pear offering. But for now, let's turn it over to Dearborn, to Greg.
All right. Well, I'm keeping the cider in Michigan, and my selection I picked up at Merchant's Fine Wine the other day. Chris says hello. But this was Farmhouse Cider Company out of, this can is so hard to read. They are on the west side of the state, I know that, but this is their Sweater Weather, which is
It's, sorry to interrupt, it's Hudsonville.
Oh, Hudsonville,
Michigan. Yep.
Okay, there you go. So southwest of Grand Rapids there. So this cider contains, obviously, apples and cardamom, pepper, cloves, cinnamon, and black tea. I think there's something else. I can hardly read it, though. But it really interested me. It was black tea, but it specifically said chai on the front. So it sounded really good to me. I figure, what the heck? I'll give it a try. I really have liked Farmhouse in the past, and so this one, I hope, does not disappoint. So first smell, you get that typical sweet apple ciderness that I've come to enjoy from Farmhouse. You do get a little of that spiciness from that cinnamon, and I pick up a little of that chai too. So it smells delicious, and getting some very nice effervescent bubbles. I think I cracked this about 20 minutes ago. It's still streaming up really nicely here in my glass. So let's take a nice drink of this. Very, very good. More of the same from what I described. Sweet apples. Lots of great spice from that cinnamon and pepper and chai tea. Hopefully there's not too much chai tea because I got to go to bed early. But this was delicious. Like I said before, I've never had a bad cider from Farmhouse. They make some excellent stuff, and thanks to Chris Cook for pointing this one out to me in the aisle there. So that's my
awesome
review. Yeah.
I think Doug's been there, haven't you, Doug?
I've been there a few times, yeah. And we've, JR, you and I first ran into that cider at Blake's. We had gone to a cider and meat festival, and we'd got an incredible tour of Blake's and their facilities. Super impressive stuff. Very old world family farm, same as Farmhouse. Farmhouse is over 100-year-old farm, and it's the house is on the property. It could use some fixing up. It doesn't look very livable, but just kind of a neat place tucked away in the woods in Hudsonville, Michigan. We've reviewed a couple other, at least one other brewery out of Hudsonville, which was White Flame, and then there's another one, which is Pike 51. So some good things happen in that sleepy little town, but it's really a cool place to go visit. It's definitely, it's all outdoors, so obviously not very enjoyable in the wintertime. But
this time of year it's perfect.
This time of year is perfect. Bring your bug spray. Triple E over on the west side is not a pleasant thing, so you don't want any mosquito bites. And I remember being there, and that place was loaded with them. Mosquitoes, anyways. I had some great ciders there. Both, I think, been there 3 times. Every time is just some really impressive stuff. Their creativity with spices, with ingredients, is really off the charts, and it really works well.
And I readjusted this can where I can actually read the lettering, but there was also ginger in here, and the type of black tea was Assam. I'm not a big tea person, but just looking it up real quick, it's Indian style black tea, I guess. So, but delicious nonetheless. I big kudos to them for making this sweater weather, which is
sweater weather. Well, thanks for reminding me, Doug, about that festival, that Blake's. That was really a fun day. Got to sample a lot of great ciders and meads and beers too. And we also got a nice tour of the cider mill from the folks at Blake's. And I remember tasting a particular plum cider that was in the tanks, and they just went up and tapped a little bit out that we could taste, and that was really cool. So
very good.
Well, and everything is from there. You know, they grow everything right on their farm. They weren't really into the hard cider business until a few years back when when the siblings decided to take the business to another level and took fermentation classes and got into the hard cider business, and they haven't looked back since. I mean, they're the number 1 cider producer in Michigan.
Yep, it says from our backyard since 1946 on their website. So, but great stuff from Hudsonville there too.
Yes, indeed.
So we'll pass it over to Doug now. What do you got for us, Doug? Out?
All right. Well, I'm staying in Michigan, and I looked at the Blakes, and I thought maybe somebody had it already, so I passed. Then I looked for Farmhouse. They didn't have any, and then I looked for a few other things, and there were some other bottles that I looked at, but I know that they've been sitting there a very long time, extremely long time, and so what caught my eye was Uncle John's cider, and I didn't realize they were doing hard cider. That's the first I've seen of them. Uncle John's is in St. John, Michigan, and it is about halfway point between Lansing and Mount Pleasant. Mm-hmm. So if you're taking 127, you go right past it. You can't miss it. It's this humongous farm. According to the can here, it's over 150 years old. But like I said, this is the first I knew that they were doing any hard ciders. I picked up a 4 mix pack. So there was blueberry, pear, cherry, and apple pie, I think it was. So I decided to skip the apple pie. I tasted the pear. We'll move on from that. And then I decided to go with the apple cherry. And a little bit from the can, it says the blossom, the bee, the fruit of the tree. They're all part of our 180-year-old, it looks like, 150-year-old family farm. As 5th-generation cider makers, we know that the finest hand-picked apples can produce crisp, clean taste of our cider from pollination to fermentation. Uncle John's is pleased to provide you with our award-winning hard cider. Well, apparently they've won an award, so that's a good thing. The nose in this is man, it's like the apple cider you had when you were a kid. It's just so magical, the smell coming out of it. I'm not getting much of a cherry nose on it. It pours with a little bit of a red tint to it. The bubbles are very fine, not super carbonated on this one, as opposed to the pear, which was ridiculously carbonated. So really nice tart cherry flavor to it. It's kind of on the subtle side. I would say that they maybe used a mix of tart and sweet cherries, because you're not getting a very pronounced tart flavor like a Montmorency cherry. Some of those Traverse City cherries, which have a very distinctive flavor, that's not there. I think as far as the sweetness level goes, it's way, way up there. The pear was even higher than this one. It's quite on the edge of being too sweet. It's at 6.5%, which is a nice little kick on this guy. It's a 16-ounce can. It's really drinkable. I wouldn't want any more than one or two because of the sweetness on it. It's not acidic tart. I mean, there's just a slight tartness to it, but really it's mostly sweet. I mean, I'd give it, I don't know, somewhere in the middle to upper road, maybe a little bit above average. I told all you guys before the show started, I was just absolutely disappointed in the cider selections around in my neighborhood. And it seems like everything's been taken over by seltzer, and that space for cider made it really difficult to find things. I couldn't even find Virtue Cider, which made Michigan AB product, but nothing in two different spots. So I'm not sure what's going on with them. But I mean, I would have this around. I would certainly drink one in the summer. So that's something I would probably just go out and run out have to have.
All right. Well, sounds pretty good, though.
Yeah, it's drinkable. It's just my taste for cider is less sweet, more flavor, and I think I'm getting spoiled in it because there's a lot of people in my homebrew club that are really good cider makers and have access to really good ciders. So, or really good apple pressings. So a lot of people make some really killer stuff, and when I have something like this, which is more on the sweet side, it's more, I don't know, it's more for the masses than any kind of subtle sort of drink. Then, I don't kind of rank it as high as I would some of those others that I've had.
Well, over in Europe, especially the UK and Ireland, ciders are much more prevalent. And typically, the European-style cider is a drier product, more dry than sweet. So perhaps you probably would enjoy those more.
Absolutely. I've always enjoyed European ciders. Spanish cider is incredible. French cider, just some incredible stuff as well. I think the differences are what we have here is, we've got a business, a farm that's been in business for 150 years, making certain types of apples or growing certain types of apples that lend themselves towards sweet ciders. So there's no way they can get around that. It takes a lot of years to be able to grow a specific type of apple. So, the Irish ciders, if you were to eat one of those apples off the tree, you'd take one bite and spit it out. They're not very edible. They're specifically grown to make cider.
ChristopherMedia.net. ChristopherMedia.net.
All right. Well, just a quick overview of cider, a little bit just about what is cider. For those of you that don't brew or maybe haven't been exposed much to cider, regular cider is just apple juice or fruit juice from whatever fruit that you're using. But hard cider is fermented apple juice, which when you ferment something, you produce alcohol and CO2. So during Prohibition, people would put mulling spices in apple juice or other flavors just to try to make it taste like cider. with no actual cider around. They just called it cider. So necessity is the mother of invention. I know guys in my old homebrew club back in Michigan used to just go to a local cider mill and buy untreated cider that had no preservatives or sorbate put in it. Sorbate will retard the fermentation process, and all you have to do is put a little yeast in there, or arguably you could probably just leave it open and wild yeast would get in there and ferment it. But very easy to take a 1 gallon jug of regular cider, as long as it hasn't been treated, and put some yeast in there, and make sure you have a vent, because otherwise your 1 gallon jug will explode due to the fermentation. But it was pretty cool just to see somebody. It was that simple. You could just get some brewer's yeast at the store and toss it in there. Make sure you have, the cap vented in some way, and in a week or so you got hard cider. So just a little background for those of you that don't know what cider is. So it's typically with apples, but again, we've had ones with pears and then other fruit additives like the berries. So, all right, so we've each had a cider. I think I have an extra one and Greg has an extra one. But before we do that, we're going to do a small touch on some industry news with our Hipster Tipster segment. And I think Dugout has something to tell us about with the Weyerbacher.
Yeah, we ran across a piece of news out of Brewbound, and Weyerbacher is the brewery out of Pennsylvania, and I believe we've reviewed some Weyerbacher before that have made some incredible beers over the years. And the headline on this article is Weyerbacher to release White Castle collaboration beers, part of post-bankruptcy reorganization plan. So obviously they've run into some financial troubles. But I believe what the whole article sort of focuses on is that, White Castle is making a move similar to Taco Bell, where they'll be able to serve beer in the White Castles, which I don't know if that's such a good idea. I can probably count the times I've had White Castle while sober on one hand. So I think that's probably got to be 75 to 90% of their sales. I mean, you don't ever see anybody in there during the day. But what I believe they're doing is going to be a Kolsch, which is the first beer, and with plans to do more beers down the pipeline. So I just thought it just struck a chord in me and made me kind of chuckle a little bit to think, oh my God, I can even drink more if I go to White Castle. Because they were always the end of the night, man. The sliders, that's just it.
Crave case. The crave case.
Gosh, yes.
Well, it's funny, after living in Michigan, and having White Castle at your disposal all the time, it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. But when you're out here in the West, like Arizona is about to bring the first one in, and people are going bonkers. I remember when it opened up on the Vegas Strip, there was like a line for an hour to get in to get a White Castle. I mean, I'm like, come on, people. But I guess, everybody wants what they can have, or maybe there's some nostalgia. Hey, whatever floats your boat.
Yep. I just thought it was a fun article, and
hilarious.
If it helps get these guys back on their feet and get back into brewing the great beers that they're capable of, my hat's off to them. I'm all for it. Here they are; they're just starting it all over again, and I think they came up with a pretty fun way to do it.
Well, yeah, White Castle, they do some gimmicky things for press, and this is probably one of them. But I remember on Valentine's Day, you can also reserve a booth for you and your lovely partner to go enjoy a couple square hamburgers to make you run to the bed. But you know what? It sure tastes good when you're plastered, don't they?
Hey, if it's Valentine's Day and you're both into it, why not, right?
Why not? All right, well, anybody have anything else? If not, I'm going to see if I can redeem the pear cider category with a Blake's offering. Their pear cider is called Grizzly Pear. Pear, apple, and elderflower hard cider. Elderflower. That's a new one. So I'm pouring this, and it's that nice yellow, very just slightly, very ever so slightly straw yellow color, golden, almost looks like a glass of ginger ale, to be honest with you. Nice effervescent bubbles flowing from bottom to top. So definitely getting a good aroma, good fruity pear aroma. Probably a little bit of the elderflowers too, because I almost something that resembles honeysuckle. So let's taste this bad boy. Oh yeah, this is definitely got good flavor. It almost does have a little spice on the end, almost like a ginger or something. I don't know, maybe that's part of the elderflower influence, but another sip. You'll be happy to know, Doug, it's not overly sweet. It's probably considered semi-sweet. There's like a little gauge on the can. Actually, no, I guess it's on their website. It shows that a little bit over half towards the sweet side from the dry side, but not all the way to the end, so it's not cloying sweet by any means. But really nice, light, easy drinking beverage. Great fruit flavor, and I really like that little, at the very end, you get a little zip, like a little spicy zip, like almost like a ginger honeysuckle, I would kind of describe it as, and I have to think that's whatever the elderflower is. I don't know, has anybody ever smelled an elderflower?
Well, they make liqueur out of it.
I've heard of elderberries, elderflower.
Yeah, elderflower liqueur.
Oh,
it's very floral, and there's some spice notes to it.
It's a really nice touch at the end of this. You start with that nice solid pear flavor. But Steve, I'm willing to bet that if you tried this, you'd be more pleased than your other one seemed to have very subtle, little to no pear flavor. This one's definitely, if I blind tasted it, I could pick pears out. But I might be pulled by that ending because that's a very unique, and they've discovered a nice compliment here, having the pear followed up by the elderflower. So, yeah, grizzly pear, homegrown perfection. Cider with a story, independently owned. Let's see what they have on the website. I had that up earlier. It says grizzly melds soft notes of pear, balanced with a sharp apple finish with a hint of elderflower. No bears were harmed in the making of this product. 140 calories, 11 grams of carb, 10 grams of sugar. So it is definitely less sweet than the berry one that I had. 5% ABV and all natural, gluten-free. Made with pears, not bears. So another great cider from Blake's. What's the town that they're in up there?
They're in Armada.
Armada, that's right.
Yep. And that particular one's been in and out of my fridge a few times this summer, and it's definitely an enjoyable one when the weather's really hot.
Yep. So just remember, when you get beard out, like I used to get beard out, branch out and try a cider. I guarantee you there's a lot more flavor of this than there is in any of the hard seltzers out there. Which I can guarantee you we'll never see a hard seltzer episode on the Beer Nuts.
No. Nope.
Good.
Nope.
All right. Well, I think we got one more to go before we head to Mexico City. So, Greg?
All right. So, also from another Michigan cider. This has started out as a 160-year-old, or came out from a 160-year-old apple orchard family on the northwest side of the state, actually northwest of Grand Rapids. This is Puck's cider, and they originated out of, I just had it up here, and of course I closed it, the Schaefer Cider Company. So they've been going on for about 6 years now. I've just been reading about them here while listening to you guys taste your delicious ciders. This particular one that I picked up is called Luck, and this is their tart cherry hard cider, and it was aged in bourbon barrels. This comes in at 6.9%, and it's 12-ounce can. So, first glance, she pours a beautiful, well, in my light, it's a orangish red, nice stream of bubbles coming up there. Just gorgeous looking color here. So, get a first smell out of it. Oh, wow. That's a lot of tart cherry. That's tart cherries and apples. I mean, that's what I'm getting, and that's perfect. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So first taste out of this thing. I mean, wow, more of the same. Beautiful, beautiful cider. It's not compared to the farmhouse that I had before. It's a little less sweeter. You're picking up, getting that tart cherry out of it, which adds a nice little complexity to it. And on the very back end, I'm getting a little bit of that bourbon barrel, which just adds a nice little touch to it. It's not overpowering. Everything's blended very nicely. This is great stuff. Chris Cook over at Merchants walked me right over it and said, well, you got to try this one. I'm not much of a cider guy, but this is one you might want to try. I've heard good things. So kudos for him for walking me over there and showing this one. And boy, just looking at some of the ciders they're offering, they've got, ciders with blood orange. They've got, cider with cinnamon and ginger. They got one with raspberry and key lime. I mean, that sounds pretty good to me. So, kudos to Puck Cider, Pux. And they are out of Conklin, or like they say on their can, straight out of Conklin, Michigan, which is about 15 miles northwest of Grand Rapids. So, excellent cider. I really, really am enjoying this one. So,
well, it appears that we should have just named this episode the Michigan Cider Show, because I think all of them were Michigan.
The Michigan Cider and Steve.
Had I known that, I would have tried to get something local from out
Steve
west.
would have been better off finding a Michigan cider. He probably could have found a Virtue somewhere out there.
That's right.
Yeah, the monkey let me down today. Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Michigan's a great place to grow apples and pears, I can tell you that. Not seeing too many apple trees out this way, but plenty of pecans.
You got prickly pears. You can make a cider out of that.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, some good stuff here. Thanks to Scott Roberts from Blake's Hard Cider for providing samples for me to review on the show. They were all delicious. I already knew that, but hey, it was great to be able to enjoy these tonight. I'm still really enjoying sipping on my Grizzly Pear.
All excellent choices.
And I have to share with everybody, I didn't notice this on their website. Let me go back to it. After I reviewed my beer, my cider, I went down to, on the bottom of their webpage, and it says Grizzly Pear. Pear's perfect with gin. Try Grizzly Pear with some gin and garnish with an orange slice. And I was going to run across the room to my liquor cabinet and I have a bottle of Beefeater in there, but it shows it on the rocks with ice with an orange slice, and I'm like, I'm just enjoying what I have now, but I'm going to go ahead and try that because I'm a big gin fan. So always cool when you go to websites. It actually says view more recipes, so there's some other recipes. Visit their website at blakeshardcider.com and see all the interesting concoctions that you can create with cider. Cider cocktail recipes. Looks like there's let's see what else we got here. It's craft cider plus spirits equals best friends. We've got a whole bunch here. Too many jalapeno seeker.
They got an El Chavo one, that habanero.
Oh, I love the El Chavo.
Oh, that's so good.
I think we reviewed that on our first
and then they have like
cider episode.
Tequila barrel. Is it tequila barrel? It's like El Chavo, or I don't know what it is.
El Chavo.
They have some really incredible rare bottles that they sell out at the cider mill. They're not for distribution, but I've had cider in a bourbon barrel from them. It was just lights out. Awesome.
They have a cider called Beard Bender, and it says make a bourbon bender. Rocks glass with ice, bullet bourbon 2 ounce, 2 Angostura, 2 Raychild's bitters, 4 Blake's Beard Bender on top is a mini float garnished with a lemon peel. There's all kinds of great recipes, so check it out, blakeshardcider.com. It's really cool.
That should be followed up with call in sick to work.
The Bear Trap, Grizzly Pear.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
This is definitely calling in. It's the Bear Trap, Grizzly Pear, Mezcal, Chartreuse, and lemon juice. Good night, Irene.
Good night, Irene.
But really, it's worth checking out. They even have a Bloody Mary one made with El Chavo. Valentine vodka, McClure's Bloody Mary mix. Oh, man.
Great stuff if you got a all-day conference call the next day, you know?
Ooh, yeah.
Great stuff if you don't have to work for 3 days. All right. Well, that should do it. Anybody else have any final parting shots? So our next show, we're going to start a monthly theme where we're going to call it the Passport episode. We're going to pick a country and just, it's going to have to be a pretty good beer country for us to do a whole episode on it. But we think we found one in Belgium. What do you guys say? Ready to go to Belgium next week?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So next week we'll do a Belgian episode. Any beer you have that's a Belgian import. And thanks for listening. Chris isn't here to do the tweet this and tweet that, so I'll do the best I can. Find us on Twitter at Beer Nuts Podcast. We have a Beer Nuts Facebook page, and you know that I'm doing my best to spruce up our Instagram page, so I'll make sure I post a picture of these great Blake's Hard Ciders on our Instagram page, Beer Nuts Podcast on Instagram. So thanks for listening, and we look forward to seeing you in Belgium next week. So for now, we're going to Mexico, so as they say in old Mexico City,
ChristopherMedia.net.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the name your price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
ChristopherMedia.net.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.